Discovery made a documentary called Implosion, the Titan Sub-Disaster, that basically documented the history and the moments that led up to the infamous implosion of the Titan submersible back in, I believe, 2023. We all remember that, right? The submersible with the billionaire who went down there with a few people, one of which was a teenager. He went down there with several other men, and to see the Titanic on this man-made submersible that he privately created with his billions of dollars. And we lost contact. They lost contact with the submersible, and it was days before they finally found the wreckage and found out that, in fact, the submersible had imploded. Well, Discovery did a documentary about this whole entire event and the history behind the submersible and what led up to this event. And after watching the documentary, the biggest message that you walk away with, the biggest takeaway that you will walk away with from watching that documentary is that the Titan submersible implosion was 1,000% preventable. And when I say 1,000% preventable, I don't mean like it was preventable in the sense that like, oh, they just made that one fatal mistake. They went left when they should have gone right. They did this when they should have done that. I'm talking egregiously preventable. I am talking one reason after another as to why this submersible should have never, ever been operating, let alone as a commercial vessel paying customers to the depths of the ocean, the depths of the Titanic. It was wild watching this documentary. You learn that not only was it preventable, but based on what went down, it was inevitable. It was an inevitable tragedy that could have been easily avoided. But as usual, we have a case here of a rich white man who probably never heard the word no in his whole entire life, thinking that he was invincible and that he could do whatever he wanted. And that's how we ended up with the Titan submersible. So first and foremost, this submersible, what we find out in the documentary, was the owner of this company, OceanGate, which was a underwater touring sightseeing company that was created by Stockton Rush, was a billionaire. And, when I say billionaire, this man came, I'm talking billionaire, baby. This man, I think it was his grandmother, has a symphony hall named after her in San Francisco. Okay, a symphony hall. His daddy was the president-elect of the Bohemian Club. For those, my conspiracy theorists to the front, for those who are not familiar with the Bohemian Club, this is an ultra wealthy secret occult society where they be doing their annual, occult rituals at Bohemian Grove. You may have heard of that. This is that top echelon of wealth. Okay. So this guy, Stockton Rush, he grew up in, this wealthy environment, went to school, was fascinated with space, couldn't make it to space, and decided that he was going to start exploring the depths of the ocean, because he realized that all the things that he was looking for in space, he could find right here in the depths of the ocean. And so he became fascinated with it, and he created his company, OceanGate. And he decided to create this company that would be a submersible underwater tourist sightseeing company. So basically he would take you to famous sites underwater and you could see them. And his first site that he wanted to launch his whole entire business off of was the Titanic. And so he decided that he was going to take people down to see the Titanic, wealthy people, because these tickets weren't cheap. You had to pay $250K, $250,000 to get a ticket on this submersible. So this was geared as a luxury, right? A luxury service that he was trying to create. And unfortunately, as you find out in the documentary, the doomed Titan submersible, when, you know, as you hear in this documentary, the doomed Titan submersible was pretty much doomed from the beginning. When you hear just how this man ran his company, how he responded to any potential issues and problems, and we're gonna get into that in detail. The first sign that the Titan was doomed was in the material that owner of OceanGate, Stockton Rush, used for the submersible. And that was fiber carbon. In the documentary, you find out that this is probably one of the worst materials you can use. Like, literally, they explain that fiber carbon is great up until a point. Up until a point. And once it gets to that point, it not only does it fail, but it fails catastrophically, instantly, which is what we saw happen, right? So first and foremost, the material that Stockton decided to use to be different, to be unique, to be innovative was one of the worst materials that he could have used. That was the first red flag that you find about in this documentary. And we're going to get into the rest of the crazy, avoidable red flags that Stockton Rush should have heeded and his staff should have heeded that could have prevented this. And we're going to get into more of the details of this Discovery documentary, Implosion, the Titan sub disaster, in the next episode, guys. Unfortunately, we run out of time, so we're just gonna have to come back and revisit it because I mean, like I said, the details of this documentary are wild. And with that being said, folks, we've come to the end of another episode of No Niche Zone, the podcast about everything. Please subscribe to our YouTube at No Niche Zone Pod. Follow us across all platforms at No Niche Zone Pod. Send in your listener letters to no niche zone at gmail.com. And of course, you can always follow me personally across all platforms at Pris the Goddess.